Welcome to morning meditations this morning. I'm just filling in for a pastor to save him some time this morning, but we're at Psalm 119. And Psalm 119, just a couple of the verses that we are discussing in senior Bible study this morning. We thought I'd share them with you. Talking about our submission to God and submitting to His will. So let's just look at a couple of these verses from the beginning of Psalm 119. Let's start at verse 4. Thou hast commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. O that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes. Then shall I not be ashamed when I have respect unto all thy commandments. I will praise thee with uprightness of heart, when I shall have learned thy righteous judgment. Forsake me not utterly. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. With my whole heart have I sought thee. O let me not wander from thy commandments. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Blessed art thou, O Lord, teach me thy statutes. And we just see the utter submission, the willingness to submit to God's word and to submit to God's plan. And we see that the statutes that are here, and David said, or the writer of this psalm said that, I've been directed to keep these statutes. We've been directed by you to keep these statutes, to keep these commands. This is a direct direction from God. And I'm going to do it. God, help me to do this. I'm going to do this so I have no reason to be ashamed. If I'm committed to God's word, then I don't have to worry about what's going to go wrong. My ways will be kept strong. My future will be planned well. Everything will be directed and work out properly if I just submit myself to God's statutes, to God's way, to God's law. And I need to do that. And wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? He says, by taking heed thereto according to thy word. And so what problems do we have? What sin in our life or issues that especially a young person with their whole life ahead of them, they want to make sure it's directed right and they make the right choices in life. Well, the only way they can do that is by taking heed to God's word, holding on to God's word, changing and bending, submitting their life to the ways of God. In verse 10, a strong statement. He said, with my whole heart have I sought thee. O let me not wander from thy commandments. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. And we know that verse. But the one before it, he says, with my whole heart have I sought thee. With my whole heart, with everything about me, I've given up anything I wanted to seek after God. And therefore, don't let me wander from that, God. Don't let me get away from your word and your commandments. And I need to hide it in my heart. And that's what's going to keep me from sin. And so just the utter submission to God's word. Let's just read a couple more verses. Verse 13, with my lips have I declared all the judgments of thy mouth. I have rejoiced in the way of thy testimonies as much as in all riches. I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. I will delight myself in thy statutes. I will not forget thy word. And so we see not just the utter commitment to it and the utter submission to it, but he basically says, I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to continue in these things. I'm going to meditate in these things. I'm going to delight myself in these things, and I will not forget it. And so not just an utter submission, but just the realization that I'm going to commit this into my heart. I'm going to put it in front of my eyes. I'm going to meditate on it. I'm going to delight in it, and I'm never going to leave the paths of God. I'm never going, which is only found in the word and the commandments of God. I don't ever want that to leave me. I'm going to hide it in my heart. And that's the only way that my future is going to be directed well. And may we all have that heart. If we just had the heart that whatever I think, I'm going to submit it up to God. I'm going to direct my life according to His statutes. And let God take care of it from there. And that's the attitude every Christian ought to have. Well, thank you for joining us. God bless you this morning.